And joining us right now to talk more about this immigration issue, House Majority Leader Tom DeLay. Also, we have with us former NYPD Detective Bo Dietl joining us as well. Congressman DeLay, let's start with you. President Trump keeps mentioning this nuclear option. We've talked about this with passing budgets before, but remind us a little bit more about this nuclear option, if you think this is in fact necessary and also a good idea when it comes to border security.
Are you talking about the 60-vote rule and the filibuster?
All these Senate rules that Americans across the country just get so confounded with, and we wonder why we can't just pass this border security.
Well, I am a huge enemy of the 60-vote rule in the Senate. I support filibuster. That's fine. If you want to stand up and talk till you're exhausted, that's fine. But to give the minority a veto over the majority in the Senate is just outrageous and undermines the will of the American people. And it needs to be getting rid of. It's stopping us from doing some important things. Look at the budget bill that passed a couple of weeks ago. That was because the Senate had to deal with Democrats. If the majority is, whatever the majority is, the will of the American people is exhibited in that majority, and it shouldn't be thwarted by a 60-vote rule.
But what do you think about this nuclear option? Should Republicans resort to whatever it takes to get this border security bill passed?
You know, my problem here is the Republicans are against the Republican president. And with these midterm elections coming, there might not be no option, no nuclear option. The Democrats might take back the Senate and the House, and then we'll have a lame duck president. Right now, we have to band together. Whatever we got to do, as far as this immigration goes, the president is 100% right. When he takes the oath of office to protect the people of the United States of America, that's what he has to do. If he has to use other funding as far as with the defense appropriation, whatever he has to do, that's defense. Because if you get Middle Eastern terrorists coming through our southern border, that's a threat upon our country. That is the president's job, to tighten up the security for this country. And anyone thinks differently don't know what the heck they're talking about.
Yeah, fair enough. Let's talk about this. Go ahead, Tom.
Well, I was just going to say, Bo, you're pretty much right. The Senate is using the 60-vote rule as an excuse, but you also have to be careful. The President of the United States is not a dictator. He only has certain, the rule of law inhibits him from doing certain things. For instance, DACA was the unconstitutional and illegal action taken by President Obama and got us into a lot of trouble. So yes, the president has to do what he has to do within the law, and sending troops down to the border is within the law, as long as they're National Guard.
Right, and you know,
we talked about this yesterday.
You know, John,
but we talked about this.
If I may, John, you know, one of the most important things that we have to realize right now is what we just said about President Obama passing this thing. We need legislation. We need a bill. If we're going to accept DACA people, which I'm supportive of it, we have to have a congressional and a senatorial bill that will allow that. The president has tried to do it. Along with that, all he asked for was some substantiation to support our southernmost border against illegal criminals coming into our country. So look at it. The Democrats are saying, no, we're not going to do anything. We're just going to leave it on the table. Nothing is getting done. That's why this president was elected. People want things done in Washington. I see it. I don't want to be involved with politics because I don't like the Republicans or the Democrats because they're not getting anything done. And the people of the United States of America are the ones that need this help from Washington.
I'm laughing, Bo, not to make light of the situation, but I agree with you. And, Tom, don't you think, though, that this is really the Democrats? They don't want to do a deal. We all know the deal. It's DACA for the wall funding. And Democrats don't want to do the deal because, number one, it will give President Trump his border wall, which is what he wants. Number two, Democrats will not be able to use this DACA issue as a wedge issue moving ahead in the 2018 midterms.
You're absolutely right. And to Bo, I just say you're not going to get a law as long as you have the 60-vote rule in the Senate. So you've got to get rid of the 60-vote rule so that the will of the American people is expressed through their representatives. The Democrats don't want a deal. They want to use DACA to reach out to Hispanic voters. They think they're in a good position now going into 2018 midterm elections, and they need Hispanic voters, and they need to energize them, and they need to turn them out. And that's why if you pass the DACA bill, the issue is taken off the table.